All right, well, welcome. Thank you for joining us this afternoon for our session of Return to Rowan. For those of you who have been here before, we appreciate you coming back. For those that are new, this is just an amazing opportunity thanks to student government and our student leaders proposing that lots of great information online, but how do we personalize that? How do we kind of put a voice to that? So thank you to Arielle and her great student leadership advocates to be able to put this together. This afternoon, we're going to talk about student activities, clubs, organizations, and athletics. So lots of really good things happening there. What I want to do is give the panelists a chance to just talk briefly with some opening remarks if they wish. But then we really want to focus on answering your questions. So if you have a question, please look to the right of your screen. We can't see or hear you, but certainly Arielle and myself will do our due diligence to try to get to your questions and make sure our panelists are asked those questions so that they can respond and answer. Please know that all of your questions are important to us, but some of the questions you might ask, these panelists may not have that expertise, they may not have that knowledge. We'll try to answer all that we can, but if not, I promise you, we'll try to get back to you, or you can reach out to individuals on campus with that. So with that, all that said, I'm going to turn things over to my great friend Arielle. She's our amazing student government president. Let her lead things off, and then we'll let the rest of the panelists speak. Thank you again for being here.
Thanks, Kevin. Really appreciate you. Hi, everyone. My name is Arielle Gedeon. I serve as the Student Government Association president. This is my second term right now, and I'm so grateful to be serving in this capacity again. With SGA, we oversee over 160 plus clubs or organizations, and hopefully if there's any questions about operations, some things I do want to clarify is that my executive vice president, Sam Ardini, and I will be releasing some information about president-senator workshops. Our Chief Financial Officer, Fiona Hughes, should be releasing information about treasure workshops. Already, I've seen some emails about our SFCB signature form, which is a really great job. Organizations presidents for getting started on that super early. Really proud of y'all. I just want to inform y'all that my team has a retreat this weekend, virtual of course, and that's where they're going to be learning about SJ operations and getting prepared to make sure that we are there to support you as the Student Government Association for the fall and spring semester. So I'm looking forward to working with the team and telling them about the great things we do in SGA. So yeah, that's all from me here. As I mentioned, I'm a rising senior, and then I'm gonna pass the torch to my fellow student leader, Dylan Regan.
Hi guys, my name is Dylan Regan. I'm the president of the Student University Programmers, also going into my second term with the Student Center and campus activities. And we're just so excited to be able to bring you guys both virtual and in-person events into the fall semester. So I'm here to tell you guys about those events if you have any questions about them. So yeah, and of course, if there are any questions that I can't answer, you can always refer to our social media. Our Instagram and Twitter are Rowan SCCA, and our Facebook is the Chamberlain Student Center and Campus Activities, where all the information I'll be giving you today will be posted as well.
Great, thank you. How about Dr. Giannini, if you could introduce yourself, please.
Hi, John Giannini, Interim Director of Athletics, and we're wading through how to bring sports back. It's very challenging, and I'm sure people have questions, and if you have any, I'll do my best to answer.
Great, thank you. Dr. Tinnin, if you could.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for joining us. I'm Drew Tinnin, the Associate Vice President for Student Life. It was great to have our two awesome student leaders that I work with here today. And besides student government and campus activities, I also work with campus recreation, orientation, and student leadership programs, and our parent and family programs, and our university's liaison with our food service provider, Gourmet Dining. So I'm happy to talk about those areas as well.
Great, thank you. Well, we'll go ahead and start with our questions. So lots of good questions already coming in. Thank you for those, and keep asking them. So one of the questions that's out there, obviously, we know that the student experience is critical at Rowan. It's part of who we are. It's part of what we do, and it's a really important part of being the Rowan family. But there have been some restrictions, some limitations on capacity. So, Dr. Tinnin, can you talk about what are areas on campus where maybe there can be activities? Will there be outdoor areas? Will we just not have activities? How will this thing we call student activities work this year?
Absolutely. So we've been working hard to have a variety of opportunities for students for student activities, both physically on campus and virtually as well. So whether you choose to come and join us here on campus this semester, or you'll be learning from home, you'll be able to fully participate in the student experience. So many of our student organizations will continue to meet virtually throughout the fall semester, and SGA is hosting a virtual student organization fair over several days the first 2 weeks of classes. So we have different theme days like academic-based clubs, organizations, fraternities and sororities, service groups, and all other different types of multicultural clubs and organizations and other types that you can view on ProfLink the days that we're having those virtual student organization fairs. So that's a great first step to get involved on campus, is to participate in one of those virtual student organization fairs to learn more about the different student organizations that we have. The different groups will be hosting drop-in virtual sessions from 11 to 2 those days, or be active on their social media so you can interact and learn more about them. So student group activities will mostly be virtual. We do have our Rowan After Hours, which Dylan can probably tell you much more about, and student university programmers that they will be providing on-site physical presence activities here on campus, outdoors, and in the Chamberlain Student Center, as well as virtual activities. So again, no matter your learning option this fall, we'll have opportunities for you. I mentioned on a previous meeting, but if you didn't join us then, know that our dining services is primarily grab-and-go dining, and we do have some outdoor locations on campus, a tent outside the Chamberlain Student Center, and picnic tables at Holly Point Commons and near the engineering building for outdoor dining here on campus. And those spaces will also be a popular gathering area for students as well. A question that was posted in the chat is one of our traditions here at Rowan is our student organizations often host tables to give information and for different service projects and other things. And although we won't be able to have the tables indoors in the Chamberlain Student Center like we usually do, we'll have some tables available for student reservations outside. And this year they'll be in front of the building on the 322 side, since that large dining tent takes up our back patio. So we'll still have those tables available physically here on campus for students. So, we have quite a lot of things virtually and in person, and I'm happy to talk more as we go through the conversation today.
Thank you, Dr. Drew. I know that you mentioned that our student representative here, Dylan Regan, can provide more information about SUP and RAW. So I'd love for that opportunity for Dylan to have a chance to talk about that a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you, Arielle. So as you guys may have noticed, this summer was our first summer where we played with virtual programming. Usually we're pretty much vacant over the summer, and then we come in the fall. So we've already been practicing to see what kind of events can work out in person or in virtual. So I will say that Rowan After Hours is still happening this year. It's going to be happening from 9 to 11, 3 nights a week. So it's just a bit shorter as the Student Center will be closing at 11. All of our SUP movie nights, our weekly movie nights, will be happening in the Student Center, but instead of starting at 9, they'll be starting at 7. I did see someone had already asked about homecoming. I can say that we will be having homecoming on campus. It won't be involved with the traditional games, unfortunately, rooting for our football team, because they won't be playing, but we will still have a ton of events and ways to build community within your organizations. So those dates are going to be October 5th through the 9th. And our theme is going to be Homecoming at Home. I was so excited about it. But all of our traditional Keystone events are still happening. We're still going to be having trivia. We're still going to be having bingo, though those will be online. We will still be having our Welcome Week programming with 2 outdoor movies and 3 days of food trucks for you, all of you guys to enjoy. I do see a question about Midnight Walmart Run. Unfortunately, that will not be happening this semester. If we can potentially have it in the spring, we totally will, but unfortunately there's no way for us to socially distance with that amount of travel. But we do still have all of those other supplementary Welcome Week events planned for all of you, and even more coming for the whole semester.
Great, thank you so much, Dylan. Dr. Giannini, can you talk? Obviously, we know that athletics is a really important part of the culture on any college campus. And I'm a new student coming in, and I've heard lots of rumors and I've heard lots of news stories. Tell me what's happening with athletics.
That's a hard question to answer because, frankly, a lot of things are on hold right now. One thing that we have to deal with that others may not have to deal with is the NCAA. We have a national governing body, and as I'm sitting here at the computer right here, the results of the Board of Governors meetings are coming to me, and the information the NCAA is putting out is affecting what everyone can or cannot do. So we have to digest this information. And at the end of the day, we have to do two things. Number one, we have to keep people safe. In sports, it's hard to wear a mask and stay away from people in a lot of sports. So that's one of the reasons our actual competitions have been suspended until after January 1st. And frankly, that action mirrors what has happened throughout all of Division III. In fact, the only conferences in the country, there's only about 7 of them in Division I, II, and III that are still trying to play sports this fall. And it's pretty much mostly at the Power 5 level of college football. So if there's a couple thousand NCAA schools, there's about 50 that are left trying to pursue competition this fall, and the other 1,900 and something have determined it's really not a very safe thing to do right now. We would like our student athletes to practice, but that's not to be determined yet either, because the issue there is not just safety, but tracing. If someone were to get COVID, could they have come in contact with someone else in that practice? And not only do we not want people to end up testing positive, we don't want people to end up with COVID-related expenses. So our situation is very complicated because the NCAA is trying to help schools like ours figure out not just how to prevent positive tests, but how to prevent people having to incur COVID-related expenses. So I do know we're trying to get up and running with all our sports in January. Whether we can have practices or not right now, we're trying to figure that out hour by hour as the NCAA continues to give us more guidelines.
Thank you, Dr. Giannini. And so there was a question about, speaking of the virtual organization fair, mentioned that this person is the president of the club and feels that loss of how they're going to participate in the fair. And so as SJ president, I'd be more than happy to answer your question. So our executive vice president, Sam Mardini, he runs the organization fair, and the SGA executive board, we are there to support him. And so recently he sent an email to the SJ presidents about how the organization fair is going to go, but it's important that you register for the event. And so in this email, he mentioned that we will be hosting multiple virtual student organizations fair for students to learn about clubs this year. You will be able to sign up to participate in one of the fairs, and your club will be advertised on POFLink and the Rowan social media accounts that day. And if you already know how our Rowan University Instagram is super popular, so it's really great to have a bunch of eyes on your clubs and organization that's focused on you. So the virtual student organization fair, the institutional services and special interests is on Friday, September 4th from 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. And you can sign up to participate in the fair using your group's managed page on POFLink. So I'm assuming that you are the president of of your organization, so you have that managed access on POFLink to do so. And so you're gonna only sign up for one organization fair that best fits your organization type. And so make sure that you do have this email. And if you don't have this email, you can email me at sgapresident@rowan.edu. I'll make sure I'll forward you that email. And any further questions about the organization fair, you can contact our SJ vice president. and also who providing more updates about what that would look like for us in the fall semester. I know it's so crazy, change is scary, and but we are there to support you. I've been involved in student government since my freshman year, and I love going to the student center back patio and seeing all the clubs, organizations, and tabling. But we have to adjust to the changes, and hopefully, if things get better, we can see something better in the spring or even fall 2021. But we're there. I think with having it online as well with social media, we can see a lot more eyes and focus on your organization. So it's gonna be pretty cool. And now I'm gonna ask. This question is in terms of the food shuttles. How would the food shuttles work during the semester? And so people can go to Aldi and ShopRite. If maybe Dr. Drew can provide a answer for that.
I think Kevin might have more details, but we work with South Jersey Transit to operate our shuttles, and we certainly want to continue to provide that resource for students.
Yes, and we will have shuttles. Somebody even mentioned in the comment they will be socially distanced. We will have limited capacity, but we will be running shuttles, and we'll still be providing services to students to do exactly what you're talking about. Have the off-campus runs. We will just have to do more of them, have more scheduling in order to accommodate social distancing. But we know the shuttle is an important part of campus and an important resource for those students who don't have cars, and so we're going to work to our fullest extent possible on those. So thank you for that great question. So Dr. Tinnin, let's talk a little bit about the rec center. Rec center obviously is important. People want to work out. They want to engage in activities. So tell us, is the rec center going to be open? And there was also a specific question about group fitness, but how is the rec center going to function right now?
Yeah, so campus recreation, again, pivoted and offered a variety of virtual programs this spring and this summer, and it went really well. Did some virtual yoga classes myself, and we also had our intramural esports different tournaments for that, and we'll certainly continue those virtual offerings. And we also really hope to increase some outdoor recreation opportunities for students as well. So we'll have our virtual group fitness as well as some outdoor group fitness classes this year for the first time. And some our intramural sports will have some limited contact intramural sports available outdoors. And then those virtual, we've had some card tournaments and again, esports and other things. So that's what we're able to offer right now. We'll be looking at state guidance as it becomes available. There could be potential that we look at opening our pool later this semester. And whenever we have the guidance with gyms, we'll look at the opportunities for that as well. But right now, our focus is on outdoor and virtual group fitness and intramurals.
Thanks, Dr. Drew. And this question is for Dylan. I know that you entered in the chat, but if you don't mind reiterating, what is the future of the game room will look like this fall semester?
Yeah, so as I said in the chat, unfortunately, the game room will be closed for the fall semester, but there will be virtual game tournaments. And I know that those are a big hit for students. So though you won't be able to play in the actual facility, you will still be able to compete with fellow Rowan students and enjoy yourself, maybe win some prizes.
Awesome. I'm going to stick with the student theme here, and Drew and John, you can chime in as well. But I think there's a great question as if I'm a student leader and I have an organization, everything's going virtual and we need to be more skilled in that. How do I get access to WebEx or Zoom, or how do I, as a student leader, initiate that kind of process?
Something I'd like to mention is the free stuff you have as a student is very important, because sometimes you notice if you host a Zoom meeting, if you have like a lot of people in there, then you have like that time limit. So Rowan students, we have Microsoft Teams for free. So free 99, y'all, you don't have to pay a dime for it. And also Google Meets. One thing I've seen recently is the increase in the use of Google Meet. and that's free for you to use. You don't have to worry about time running out or capacity. You can even hold a lot of people in that meeting. So keep in mind of the free resources you have. As I mentioned earlier, like Zoom has that time limit once you reach like a lot of people in your meeting room. So I strongly recommend using Google Meet and Microsoft Teams, and then you use your student email to utilize that. But please don't forget to put your events on ProfLink so we can keep track about how many students are coming in. This is very helpful, especially for SGA. As you know, with budget hearings, we want to see all the information about how you're staying in, how you're engaging the people that you are meeting with on our campus, stuff like that. And that can be really beneficial if you're looking in that area. So if you're keeping track of how many people are in your meetings, if you're being consistent, that looks really good on your part when it comes to budget hearings in the spring. And if anyone else has more information about the meeting rooms, y'all feel free to go ahead.
Just specifically, like Arielle said, Microsoft Teams and Google Meet are the best options for students. You may see some of the student activities events using Zoom or WebEx since they host a much larger group, but for most student meetings, the Microsoft Teams and Google Meet should work. Just let SGA know if you run into any problems with that, and we'll help you work through it.
Awesome. And Hannah provided an awesome answer too from the audience. Thank you, Hannah, that you can get a WebEx account through Rowan. So thank you for that. Dylan, while we're in the student mode, there's a question about, we know that our activities are critical and students love participating in them because of the fun they're having, the information they're getting, but we also know they like the food. So if I'm having an event, am I going to have a food bar option? How are you going to feed me at these events this year?
So with Rowan After Hours specifically, that late night event that's happening 9 to 11 3 nights a week, there will be no traditional food bar as we're used to. And there will be no food given out at events that are happening inside the building. But for any outdoor events, we will be supplying grab and go style foods. So things like some snacks, or if something's individually wrapped, we're looking at all of those ideas so that we can get, because we understand that food is like one of the biggest grabs at events. I mean, as a freshman, I went to a ton of events just to get free food. That's how I ate. So we are looking at those options, but inside the building, there will be no food offered.
Thanks, Dylan. And this question is for Dr. Giannini. So a student asked, how can they stay connected with Rowan University Athletics? Do you recommend social media as a good platform to do so? And is there any updates in regards to Rowan University Athletics?
Yeah, our website and social media platforms are updated all the time. So yeah, the athletic website is a terrific resource to go to, and it'll always be updated with the latest information. And when something is definitely decided, it'll be on there.
Great, thank you. Dr. Tinnin, can you talk a little bit about if events are virtual, do I have to sign up? Do I have to RSVP? And if so, how do I know when those events are full? How do I know when it's no longer an option for me to attend?
Great question. So I'll talk about both our in-person and virtual events. So there was a great question in the chat about virtual programming on ProfLink, which again, ProfLink is our student organization and campus activities events website. And we do have a virtual programming category. So if you're specifically looking for virtual activities to participate in, you can click on that checkbox to show those events. And for our student leaders on the meeting today, if you're an event planner, you can put your virtual meeting links. There's a new field when you create an event that you can put that login information right there. And there's also a link that you can share with your group as you're meeting for students to click on so their attendance can be tracked at the event as well. So that's virtual meetings. And so for students attending virtual meetings, you might see that ProfLink link pop up for you just to click on and log in with your network account so we know who's participating in these virtual events. So hopefully we can keep offering more of them. And then for our face-to-face programs, you know, we with all of our physical distancing measures, campus does look really different. Our you know, if you're familiar with our ballroom, we typically have about 400 capacity in there, and now it's down to 90, so everyone's spaced out. Same thing for our continuing students. If you're familiar with the pit, we have a lot of students in there for different student activities. Now it's down to around 40 people. So some of our events that Dylan and others are planning on campus, you may have to RSVP for, and ProfLink does have an RSVP feature. So if the event is using that, when you view the event on ProfLink, you'll see that button that you can RSVP, and it would manage that event limit. So again, people who are planning in-person events on campus can put that capacity in ProfLink and manage it that way. That works best for comedians and things that are a fixed time period. But many people may know that a lot of our student events, people come for a while and then leave, and that's absolutely fine. Many of our events will continue to still be like that. And so for some of the student activity events, staff like Dylan and his team will be tracking attendance at the door, and you may ask to hang out for a little bit before you're allowed inside the facility, and we'll track the number of attendees as students come and go. So we'll definitely be mindful of that, and with all the event limits that we have in place for in-person events.
Thanks, Dr. Drew. And this question is for Dylan. Something that I know that the SCCA does a great job with their marketing team has that really, really nice calendar. Is that something that students will be able to see again this year? And will it be online?
So we are looking at options for that. Right now, for at least the month of September, we're going to ask students to just keep an eye on our social medias and the Rowan announcer to learn about events and upcoming events, and our ProfLink will be listing all of those. We're hoping that in October we can get a virtual calendar posted, that we can have all of our events pre-approved. But as of now, we're just asking that they keep track of our ProfLink, our social medias, and the Rowan announcer.
Great, thank you. Dr. Giannini, there's a question of, so somebody has seen that high school sports were approved today. So tell me, is there any chance that will impact us? And if not, why would there be a difference between what high schools are doing and what we're doing?
It's a great question. And the difference is the NCAA versus the NJSIAA. We're part of the NCAA, so we have to follow the rules. The NCAA, the release that just came out about high schools today requires no testing. You don't have to test. The NCAA has said that you have to test 72 hours before every contest. I'll be very blunt. I have a friend in the SEC who's trying to do that, and they're spending over $100,000 a week to test their athletes. And that's why over 1,900 schools have decided that's just not realistic, not only financially, but even maybe ethically. Should in society we be using that many tests on athletics when it's needed in other areas? And the NCAA now, again, is trying to protect student athletes from COVID-related costs. So they are saying that if you're going to play sports and you're going to compete, which we're not, but if we were competing, any school in the NCAA that does that is responsible for 100% of all COVID-related medical expenses, perhaps even cardiac treatment that could be long-term. For example, it's on ESPN today. Georgia State and Indiana University both have student athletes with cardiac issues as a result of COVID. Those schools are now responsible for all medical expenses. So frankly, I just think the NCAA is trying to do a much better job protecting student athletes from getting COVID, requiring testing that costs hundreds of thousands of dollars from schools that are trying to do it. And secondly, they want to protect people from serious medical issues and expenses. So the bar that the NCAA has set for colleges and universities to safely conduct athletics, frankly, is 1,000 times higher than what high schools are looking at right now. And what I've told our student athletes and coaches is, of course, the great majority, not 100% of 18 to 22-year-olds have no symptoms, but a lot don't. The question then is, okay, if people are spreading it within athletic teams, a lot of them won't be symptomatic, but they can spread that then to coaches and uh, family members and people who are at risk. And basically, I think the NCAA is stopping the spread of COVID very seriously and frankly, really trying to protect people. Even though the risk of symptoms in this age group is low, it's not zero.
Thank you for providing that really clear answer. I learned a lot today. So I saw that there was a question about club funding and the updates in regards to that. And so one thing that has been provided is information about the SFCB signature form. So with this form, it basically is coming from the Student Financial Control Board. We would need your executive board's name, role, and email address, phone number. So we're looking at that information from the president, vice president, secretary, and your SJ senator, your treasurer and advisor. As I mentioned already, a lot of organizations has been able to given that information already, which is really great. So please keep in mind that we need our SJ organization presidents to make sure that you re-register, complete that re-registration process for your club, and only one person may submit the re-registration. And so you're going to do that with ProfLink, and then you're going to select the re-register button. Just again, you'll find this email from our SGA Executive Vice President, but please keep in mind, please finish these forms early. You don't want to wait last second because that does affect on accessing your budget. And so once you complete this re-registration process, email it to sj@rowan.edu. So we can have that done for you guys. But I just want to provide an update in terms of club's finances. And if there's anything I missed, but yes, if you look at Sandy's email from August 11th about the information.
Great, thank you. I'm sorry, Arielle. I'm going to ask this question of you as students as well. So I know you were just speaking, but I think it's a great question, and certainly anybody can answer this. But a great question up there. So we're doing a lot of things virtually. We talked about the importance of that in-person experiential. That's what Rowan's about. Talk to us as students about how do you make connections? How do you if you're living in a residence hall, or even if you're living off campus, how do you see yourself making connections, building relationships, building new friendships, particularly if you're a new student in this virtual world or this limited in-person world?
That's a great question. And so I totally understand how you feel as students. As I mentioned, Dylan and I were both students going to our senior year. And so building that connections with fellow Rowan students is so important for your college journey. You should be looking for students who are there, who are supporting, rooting for you, want to see the best for you. Also make sure that you guys are safe and healthy by maintaining a safe distance, of course. But something that's great, especially for our freshman class, is that you're going to be put into Rowan class of 2024 Facebook group, and that's where I met a lot of my friends. And so you basically kind of tell a little bit about yourself, like, yeah, my name is Arielle, I'm 21. And et cetera, about who I am. And then you're gonna post that in your Instagram. So social media is very, very helpful. I know a lot of y'all are pretty famous. Some of these freshmen follow me on Instagram. Like, why do you have 4,000 followers? Meanwhile, I only have 2,000. Something about this generation that you guys are still famous. So I think you won't have a hard time already. But social media really is a great platform to do so. And then Dylan mentioned a lot of great events. I heard a little rumor about this food truck festival being 3 days. And so a lot of things centered around food equals friends, to be honest. Something that Rowan does is give out a lot of free food with different events. So it'd be a great opportunity to meet people there, of course, in a safe distance. But when it has these in-person events is also great. And even with the virtual events, I participated in a bingo event before the semester, and it was great because I started cracking jokes with people who participated in that virtual call as well. So even with the virtual events, it's really great to meet some friends there. And then also Rowan Trivia. I love Rowan Trivia. So I think that's be a great opportunity to meet some friends there because have that same interest. But yes, I want to pass that question to Dylan as well.
Yeah, so as Arielle mentioned, we're both students. We get it. And I think Rowan's number one priority right now is safety, but I can wholeheartedly say that their number two priority is community. And I know how important community is. I mean, it's one of the student center's core values. So we are working tirelessly to make sure that students can still get their student experience. I think a great tool for the virtual events. Obviously, for the in-person events, you guys should just come. You'll make a bunch of new friends. Before the virtual ones, if you're a little nervous to join the call, you can always join without your camera. Use the chat feature. You can also join with your roommate. You both can like crowd into the little square. You can change your name to Dylan and Arielle and join together. And I think that we are taking community so seriously. So I wouldn't be nervous about it this semester. You know, we have all of these events and there's ways to get involved even virtually.
Great, thank you. Just a real quick hitter for you, Drew. Are there ways for me, if I want to do some of these outdoor activities, or maybe I just want to do some things on my own, can I get equipment from the rec center? Can I rent things? How do I get access?
Yeah, that's a great question. So for our new students, just to make you aware, Campus Rec is awesome, and they have a variety of equipment for checkout and for purchase at the front desk of the Student Rec Center and the Fitness Center normally. So since those physical facilities will be closed, at least at the beginning of the semester, we won't have the traditional equipment rental or purchase process available. But as I mentioned, we're going to be doing a lot of outdoor rec. So while we won't have the equipment rental service, we're going to have different days where we have different equipment outside available for students and staff that will be monitoring that equipment. So our concern with the equipment checkout is making sure it's cleaned between all the uses. So we're going to have staff like on the intramural field with different equipment, different days that students can use for their outdoor rec. So we definitely look forward to you participating in that. And if you don't know the different outdoor facilities that we have on campus, we have a really large intramural field that is lined for several different sports outside the Student Recreation Center by Mimosa and Willow residence halls. We have some tennis courts, and we have a sand volleyball court and some outdoor basketball courts. So we have a lot of good outdoor spaces on campus already that you can use. We will have some hand washing stations and sanitizer and all that. We're going to help you as much as possible be safe and be able to use the equipment in a socially distant manner.
Thanks, Dr. Drew. So this question was asked about concern about how should a student react if their other students are not socially distant or wearing masks. I know something that's great about Rowan is our ability to look out for each other and so if our dean of students can provide some insight about that, that'd be great.
Thank you, Arielle. That's really an important question. Obviously, as we look at news, as we look at the things that are happening, we know that students working with us, it's going to be critical to our success. And we know that sometimes there'll be students who don't want to wear their mask, etc. We are really being diligent through Greek Life, through activities, through athletes, working with our students to really help them understand the importance of them participating in our success and following the guidelines that we're given. We're certainly looking at the educational standpoint, but we also have changed our code. So there specifically is a code piece now that talks about compliance with health-related conditions. We have requirements for students to wear masks in class, and we'll have a policy for that if that's not happening. And certainly we don't want to turn everything into a policy. That's not how Rowan is. That's not the Rowan way. So I would say to students, faculty, and staff, feel comfortable. If I see Dylan not wearing a mask, I go, hey Dylan, can you put a mask on? Dylan, do you have a mask? Can I get you one? One of the things that we're doing, and thanks to Drew and his team, they're putting together packets now where every student, whether living in a residence hall, whether off campus, will have access to a kit. We're calling it a kit. It'll have a thermometer, it'll have a mask, it'll have some general information. So we're providing students with the tools and resources that they need in order to help us be successful. But if a student has a concern and maybe they're not comfortable going up to somebody and saying, hey, John, will you put a mask on? We'll have a reporting system in place. They can go online to the Dean of Students webpage and fill out a real quick form, whether that's 3 o'clock in the morning or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and express a concern. That might be related to somebody not wearing a mask. That might be an idea or a recommendation for a policy or something that we should consider. One thing that's, again, that's really important for Rowan is that we're going to hear your feedback. We're going to listen to your concerns. And so that form allows you to report potential violations, but also report suggestions on how we can be better. So I know that Drew and his team are doing some really great things to make sure that people wearing masks and being socially distanced in their activities. We're doing it in the classroom. We're socially distancing in the residence halls. But if somebody has a concern, please report that. Please contact me directly if you wish. Use the form, and we will try to address things in a very educational way to make sure that we're being as safe as humanly possible.
Thanks, Kevin. You're the best. I don't even know why someone would want to wear the mask, especially since students are getting a free Rowan mask. And if you've seen on the Instagram, they look pretty great. But yes, thank you for providing that answer. And Dr. Drew, this question is for you. Yes, exactly. I have that mask. It's so nice. So this question is for Dr. Drew. And then I know that you'll be handling questions in regards to Greek life. I know Gary Baker was on the call earlier as well as an attendee, but there's questions about Greek life. Can you provide any insight about what it'll look like in the fall semester?
Absolutely. Gary is our awesome fraternity and sorority advisor that works with our different Greek councils. And for our continuing Greek students, like other student organizations, those groups will hold meetings virtually for the fall semester. I know some of you have already reached out to Gary to talk about specific ritual and things that you'll need to do in person, and we'll certainly work through the event approval process for any events that have to happen face to face. And for our new students, joining a fraternity and sorority is a great way to get involved and make social connections on campus, and that process looks different at different universities. And I know we have a Greek student on the line today, so Arielle can talk more about her personal experience if she'd like, but just in general, the recruitment process here at Rowan is you need to have at least 12 credit hours before you're able to participate in recruitment. So our biggest recruitment process happens in the spring term. Some of the national councils have already provided us guidance with doing a virtual recruitment event. So Gary will be working with all the councils and groups to plan their recruitment programs. But in general, usually the fall term is just a few organizations that have space available for new members. And because of the 12 credit requirement, it is mostly transfer students that join organizations in the fall. For the spring term, again, all students that have completed at least 12 credit hours and have a GPA of 2.5 or higher usually participate in that process. I would just add that our EOF and Ascend students need to generally have 24 credits, but that's approved through the Ascend office. So we work with them to determine when students that participate in those programs are eligible to join. And another question that was asked in the chat to make everyone aware is Greek life is one of the few things that Rowan Choice students aren't eligible for until you transfer to Rowan University. So Rowan Choice, again, if you're not familiar, is a program where students take classes at the Rowan College of South Jersey, but are able to live with us here on campus and participate in some student activities. The only things they're not eligible for are fraternity and sorority life, NCAA athletics, and our club sports. They can fully participate in all of Dylan's activities and clubs and organizations, but you're not able to join a group until you do officially transfer here to Rowan University. So, Greek life is a strong part of our community, and they'll be doing a lot of their philanthropy and other things virtually this fall.
Yeah, thanks, Dr. Drews. I just want to share some exciting stats coming from the Rowan Greek Life community. So we're excited to share that over 1,697 students in our 37 active Greek orgs average a 3.439 semester GPA. So our students working really hard and not only participating and helping our community, not only Rowan, but Glassboro and throughout the area, but also the all-campus GPA was 3.24. So we had a 3.439 average GPA in the semester. And so one thing that's really awesome about Greek life is our ability to work together. Also that we're keeping in mind of our academics, because yes, we are students first. And so as Dr. Drew mentioned, a lot of our different organizations are looking ways of having really engaging plans and fundraisers held virtually. And also Dylan is part of his organization, APO, which had the highest average GPA in the IFC. So big kudos to him and his organization. So something to put out there is that these organizations, we all work hard and we're part of a great community, and we're glad to be part of Rowan as well. So yes, I just want to shed some light on things that are getting done in the Rowan Greek life community. And also I want to plug in their social media because it also has great information as well. So on Instagram, it's Rowan Greek Life. So it's pretty simple, and I hope you give them a follow.
Great, thank you, Arielle. So, Dr. Giannini, I know that we're not having competitions in the fall, but if I'm a new student, never been at Rowan, tell me about in a year where we are having competitions, what are sports that I can look forward to watching? What sports do we offer at Rowan?
Well, in the fall, we would have football, men's, women's soccer, field hockey. Oh my gosh, you got me. Winter, men's, women's basketball, men's, women's swimming. In the spring, lacrosse, baseball. Of course, in the fall, cross country, men's and women's also. The track and field athletes, a lot of them they go year round. They go from cross country to indoor track to outdoor track. We have volleyball in the fall. Um, some of my favorite memories last year, well, first, football homecoming, just having thousands of alums around and just having a blast and reminiscing and people tailgating and eating in the tents and reconnecting, and all the different clubs and departments have their own stations out there tailgating with giveaways. It's just such a great day. And the first football game, we would normally have all kinds of vendors, food, chicken, pizzas there. There's fireworks. So we're going to miss all those things. Two awesome games last year. We had playoff volleyball games and playoff women's basketball games here that we both won because our crowd really lifted up our team. It was just electric. I remember in women's basketball, we were playing Montclair State, and you could just see the crowd intimidating their student athletes. They weren't used to being in an environment that loud. So a big part of athletics is not just teaching our own student athletes life lessons of teamwork and discipline, and giving them great memories. We want to make the university proud. We want to be something that is fun for the community and the students to attend, and a rallying point. We want to make everyone proud, and we want to have fun. And frankly, it's heartbreaking that we're not able to do that this fall and winter, at least not until January. But again, the thing that all of us have to think about with this pandemic is that we're not alone. I don't think there's any school right now. In fact, I'm sure there isn't in the state of New Jersey. Rutgers in the Big Ten is canceled the fall. The Big East and Seton Hall is canceled the fall. Princeton and the Ivy League is canceled the fall. And as I said, I was thinking about the earlier good question about, well, what about high school sports? And let me ask you this. If you were a high school football player and there's no testing, and you're lining up every possession face mask to face mask with someone across from you, and you have no idea whether or not they or their family have COVID, would you be comfortable literally breathing for 2 hours on someone and you have no idea whether or not they're healthy? And that's why the NCAA has said, listen, if people are going to play, you have to test. You have to know that that person that you're breathing on is healthy. So I think what the NCAA has done, what every college and university in the state of New Jersey has done, is a tough pill to swallow, but frankly, it's necessary right now to keep people safe. And there's a famous sports writer named John Rothstein, and he has the saying that this is temporary. It's tough, but it is temporary. And to Dr. Drew's point, if everyone on campus is safe, if our student athletes aren't breathing and sweating on each other, if people social distance, if we wear a mask, well, then there's going to be a lot less COVID, and there's going to be a point where we can do the things that we're used to doing, but we have to make some sacrifices to get to that point. And all these great, fun, passionate athletic contests right now, they're part of that sacrifice.
Thank you. And this question is for Dylan. Can you provide information about how SUP is involved with Welcome Weekend and things that students can expect? If you can provide some insider details about that.
Yes, so as far as SUP is concerned with Welcome Week, this Sunday, August 23rd, we have an outdoor movie. We're showing Onward. There will be snacks and beverages. It'll be on Bun Screen. So we will be following social distance guidelines, but there will be an outdoor movie this Sunday. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday will be 3 food truck festivals. Each day will offer 3 food trucks, and 3 of them are actually brand new to campus. We've never had them before, so we're so excited to work with them. I can confidently say the taco truck will be there, as so will Carolina Blues, some crowd favorites, Aunt Martha's funnel cakes, fried Oreos. So a lot to look forward to. And then the Tuesday after that, September 1st, there'll be another outdoor movie on Bun Screen starting at 9:15 p.m. and it's going to be Sonic the Hedgehog. Again, free snacks, free drinks, and a free movie to enjoy with your friends.
May I add, that's why I love this school so much. You hear the word free at least 5 times in Dylan's sentence, and it's true. So I'm a senior, and so is Dylan. So when he mentioned there's new food trucks, that's even awesome because the food trucks that they provided was already great. So the fact that they're adding even more selection is so exciting because I was one of the first people in line trying to get my tickets, get some free food at those food trucks. So I'm super excited. Thank you to SCCA, SUP, the whole team for even having that for our campus. So thank you.
Great, thank you so much. So let's talk about. I know we've talked about Welcome Week kind of with some activities, but again, if I'm a new student, if I'm a new family member, what is this thing called Welcome Week? What I don't understand it. Can you describe it to me? Can you tell me the kind of things that happen?
Yeah, so Welcome Week is for everybody, but we specifically welcome our new students back to campus, and we have different programs between the time you move in and classes start, and even a little beyond when classes start with our virtual student organization fairs and other activities the first few weeks of classes. But Dylan mentioned several of the events we have planned, but some other traditions that we have is related to the question that was asked before about how do you meet people. There's an event called Playfair, which you may not get what it is by the title of the event, but it's a super big event where the whole purpose is exactly that, for you to meet other students. So that will be virtual this year, so we can accommodate both our on-campus residents and the people learning from home as well. So I would really encourage new students, especially if you're trying to meet other people, to check out that Playfair event. That's a one really big way for you to quickly meet a bunch of different people. And then we have welcome picnics in person on campus on Monday the 31st. Those will be by your different academic programs. So you'll be getting an invitation to those based on your major or your college. Some will be held over the lunchtime and some will be at dinner. So those are some of the highlights of our welcome program. Dylan shouted out a few. I don't know if Arielle or Dylan, if you want, Arielle, there is one other event that you can talk about.
I sure can. So for our new students joining us, so let me tell you something about Rowan culture here. We love bingo. We really, really do love bingo. I know it makes it sound old or anything like that, but no, we love bingo because there's a lot of great prizes that are given out on bingo. So last year, the Student Government Association, we hosted our first ever bingo event for a welcoming. Past years did a dunk tank, and if you think I was gonna wet my hair, that's false. So I was like, yes, let's do a bingo event. And so it was really great because the prizes were given by our local community. So a couple of members from my SJE board, we went down the Rowan Boulevard. And so the restaurants, Chickens and Pete's, Cookie Muncher, so many great restaurants on the boulevard gave us a whole bunch of gift cards to give to you guys. Once we told them that this event was for freshman students only, they were so excited to give out these gifts to you guys. And so this year we're having our Rowan virtual bingo event Sunday, August 30th from 1 to 3 p.m. And so I also want to plug in that you do need to register for the event just to verify that you are a Rowan University student. And so our grand prize last year is that we paid for one student's books for the fall semester. So when you know about college, it gets a little pricey. So the fact that we pay for the students' entire books for the semester, you're taking 5 classes, we're paying all those books, $3.99. We just tell us what books are and we buy them for you. We really went to Barnes & Noble and then we bought the books. So we're hoping to do the same thing again this year. Definitely please join, tell your best friends in your freshman class to come and join out because we have all these prizes just for you. And so this is another great way to connect with friends, get to know us in student government. I love getting involved in SGA. One of the reasons why I first was introduced to the SGA was the Welcome Weekend events. And I hope you get inspired to join as well. But yes, bingo, we love it. We love it so much. Free prizes.
Yes. And on that Sunday, after you participate in the SGA bingo, that night is our another tradition, late night campus rec. So that's a great opportunity for you to learn more about campus rec and everything Rowan Thrive, how you can practice well-being here on campus. That's in person, outdoors at the intramural field. So as you can see, with the SGA bingo being virtual and late night the rec being in person, we try to provide a mix of events every day for you to get acclimated to campus and meet other people.
Thanks, Dr. Drew. And this question is for Dylan. So from my understanding, since my freshman year, Rowan SUP has been a great opportunity for students to get involved and get to meet some really cool people and also the directors. So is there opportunities to still be part of SUP and volunteer at events?
Yeah, I'm so glad you mentioned that. So we do have 7 committees in SUP for students to get involved in that focus on different types of events. So we have a charitable committee, a live events committee. So you can really choose what you want to get involved in. Those committee meetings, those weekly committee meetings still will be happening, though they will be virtual. And we also will be having our monthly SUP general meetings that will also be virtual. I know that everyone loves that. You get to see all of the directors, get to hang out as a club. We will still be doing that. And we will still be having all of our volunteer opportunities. They will be a little stricter with signups. So we're going to have students sign up beforehand. So we have exactly how many volunteers we need just to fit social distance guidelines. But we will still be having all of those opportunities to become an active committee member, hoping to have some sort of banquet, whether it's virtual or in person, for all of our active committee members. And for those students who don't know, that's students who volunteer for at least 15 hours in the Student University Programmers. And that doesn't have to be just at events. That also includes coming to meetings.
Great. So a lot of the conversations we're having, maybe apply to or assume that it's people who are in person, and we know there are a number of students who are going to be online or remote. If I'm a student who's remote, can I still participate in activities? Can I still come to campus and be involved in Welcome Week and participate, or is that restricted just to people who are in in-person classes?
One of the things I want to make sure is that whether you're at home or on campus, that you can participate in these mostly free events, because our number one concern is that students are safe and also having fun. We want to make sure that you're engaged with our own community, and that when we adjust to whatever the future holds us, is that you already know what's going to go on our campus. You know that there's going to be free food, fun, and also hopefully free t-shirts, because that's one of my favorite parts about being a college student. So a lot of our events has an online component. Something I should have mentioned for SJ Bingo, it is online. So when you register, you're going to be a part of that experience. But some of my e-board members will be in our SJ conference room, so you can see what that looks like. And so also something that Dylan can mention is that how a lot of events has an online component as well.
You got me as I was typing that answer. Yeah, so all of our directors are focusing to have some online component. So if that's the special events committee, they're having some in-person events and some online, because we recognize that not all students are going to be able to make it to campus. I just answered a question about movie nights specifically. And about live streaming our movies. Unfortunately, we can't live stream our movies due to licensing rights, but our cinema director is working diligently to ensure that there are online opportunities. So that includes a steady number of Netflix party movie nights so that students can watch from the comfort of their dorm or their home if they're away from campus, and still participate with the chat features and watch the movie with their fellow peers.
May I add, I love the idea of using Netflix Party, because my friends and I did that a couple times this summer, and it's really great because, as Dylan mentioned, there's a chat feature, so that's a great opportunity to make new friends, especially if it's a movie you like. You can talk about the characters and stuff like that. So I love how STP is being very creative on offering fun events for our students on a virtual format. And so, Dr. Drew, I know you answered this question on the chat, but it was about, is there a president's welcome this year? And you mentioned that there's academic picnics on Monday, August 31st this year. So
Yep.
if you could provide some more information on that.
Yeah, you got that. That's part featured welcome week event is on Monday, August 31st. Is the different academic school or college picnics, and so that depending on your college, that might be at your major level, or it could be in your entire college. And those are our official welcome for new students to the university. So instead of President's Welcome, if you were familiar with that, if you're a returning student, we'll do that at those academic programs either at lunch or dinner on Monday the 31st. So please come out, and besides a great picnic, there'll be a welcome from people from your school or college, or someone like Kevin or I, and also again, Arielle, it's that free stuff. So for new students, this is where you'll get an official Rowan University T-shirt and a planner. As much as you all are connected to your technology, we hear that students still like their paper planners, so we provide you with one of those. So come out to the picnic either at lunchtime or dinner on Monday for your lunch, and then those items.
Thank you, Drew. And it still warms my heart every time I hear Arielle say free 99. I love it. It's amazing. So a question that came up on the chat, which I think is a good one, and maybe I would have it as a parent or a student. If I'm a student athlete, John or Drew, I'm participating in rec and wellness things, and let's say unfortunately I twist an ankle or I get an injury in this world of social distancing and COVID. Will I have a trainer? Will somebody be able to work with me? How might I address if I get an injury when I'm recreating or participating in sports?
Be working, so our student athletes will be taken care of, and I know that they work very closely with the wellness center and the doctors over there. And Drew can talk a little bit more about campus at large, but I've been at Rowan for a couple stints, and one of the things that I think students and parents likewise have been complimentary of is the trainers and medical staff here and the health center. I think that any student who gets hurt will be well taken care of.
Absolutely. We have a great wellness center here on campus, and they will be doing virtual appointments as well as face-to-face appointments this year. And we also have some personal trainers at the campus rec. Again, when those facilities are able to reopen in person, besides our student athletes, any student can sign up for personal training sessions.
Thanks, Dr. Drew. And I know you provided some really awesome information about the welcome weekend and the academic picnics. Can you provide some information like they were asking if can students that are living for fall semester come to campus for welcome week or other outdoor events?
Absolutely. So again, any undergraduate student is welcome at all the events that we are talking about. So if you're learning at home or you're a commuter student and you still want to come to some of these in-person welcome events or events throughout the semester, you're absolutely welcome to do that.
Thanks, Dr. Drew. I know I'm bombarding you with all these questions, but there was a question about having the study areas. I know it's a little off topic about student activities, but can you provide some insight about is there like maximum occupancy in these areas and stuff like that?
Yeah. In the student center, you'll see that we have spaced out all of our lounge furniture, and we have some study tables for our students, and we've made all those for a single person. Just with the furnishing in our building, we do have space limited in that way. So that is primarily, how the space is limited in common areas. We've been really intentional about adhering to physical distancing both there and in our classrooms.
And we actually have a group, and thank you for covering for me, Arielle. I'm sorry, my button got messed up there. I appreciate you. We've got a group that's looking right now, because one of the important questions that's happening is if I'm a student and I have an online class and maybe I've got a roommate, and we've got classes at the same time, where do I go? What do I do? And so we are evaluating classroom spaces, spaces in the student center and the library, to have spaces where students can go and do that. Again, but one of the things that's important for our students is to understand that they've got to help us in those scenarios. So, if we have a classroom where people are studying and there's already 3 or 4 people in that classroom, we would ask them not to jam that pack full and find a different location or use the library. So we're going to have those spaces where we'll have those posted. We'll have that information available. Even some of those spaces will be reservable, but we do ask students to work with us and help us. If you come to the pit and maybe there's not a seat that looks like it's socially distanced or physically distanced, that you might find a different location as well. That'll be important in that process.
Thanks, Kevin. And so this question was about was there any kind of orientation to campus sessions for the students to get familiar with everything's on campus? I know you, Kevin, and Dr. Drew, you have been working closely with Catherine Keeley on different areas for Rowan. Would you mind providing clarification what that was like for students?
Yeah. So the incoming first year and transfer students this year had online orientation that they completed on Canvas this summer. So all of our new students did the online orientation, and as we also had an optional parent and family orientation like we usually do in person online as well. And for both of those orientation programs, they were really focused on our Rowan Thrive well-being framework. We have so many resources here on campus to help with your well-being in all the different dimensions. So that was a great framework for our orientation program that we mentioned the specific campus resources in each of those well-being dimensions. And then for students, we also provided some information about their college and academic advising as well. So that was a virtual orientation program. And as you've heard today, we follow that up with our Welcome Week programs to help you get connected to other students now that we're getting close to the beginning of classes.
Great, thank you, Dr. Drew. So students and anybody, if I'm off campus and I want to come to an event, where in the world can I park? Where can I look to find a space that's going to give me access to, whether it's the picnic, whether it's a RUH or RA activity or anything else? Where do I park?
That's a great question. So one thing that's great about like our new parking garage is that like for about like 2 hours, I think it's up to 2 hours, you get free parking. in the mixed parking garage in on Rome Boulevard. And so like one thing I love about Rowan University's campus is that it's really, really walkable. Like, yes, we have our shuttles, which is really great if you're on crutches on these days, but our campus is very walkable. So you can park in mixed parking garage for like up to 2 hours, I believe. And so that's going to be very helpful for our students. And if anyone has any questions about like guest parking, maybe Dr. Drew can provide some clarification on that.
Yeah. So the specific question was just for coming for the picnic, and during the move-in period, you can come to class and come to campus and park in any of our surface parking lots. Once classes begin, you do need to have a parking permit to park here on campus, and commuters can purchase those on the parking website. And for residential students, first-year students and sophomores aren't permitted to have cars on campus just yet, but all those permits can be purchased online. So that's if you'll be coming to campus for class or events on a regular basis. If you're coming just to visit, like in normal times, we have siblings weekend, for example, that people, like if you had a guest coming to spend the night with you on campus, you could get a temporary permit from parking as well.
Thanks, Dr. Drew. So this question was about, will student organizations be able to hold socially distanced events at the Student Center, back patio, similar outdoor locations? Something that I want to add as SJ president is that I want to encourage students to host virtual events as much as they can, because I want to make sure there's ways that for students who are at home can engage with you all. And I don't want to miss out on any great programming that you guys come up with, because seeing from last year, you guys come up with a lot of great programs. And I'm so glad that my SJ Executive Board and I were able to attend different clubs and organizations events throughout the school year. So from our standpoint, that we strongly recommend to have virtual events to include students who are doing Rowan at home and et cetera. But if Dr. Drew can provide some information about booking rooms, or what would that look like? Yeah. That's
great. Again, this is more for our student leaders who are joining us today. A lot of detail if you're just attending events, so this does not apply to you. But if you're a student leader planning events, again, it's mostly virtual. The Student Center back patio was specifically asked about, and we have this huge outdoor dining tent on the back patio. So unfortunately, we won't have any events on the back patio because that needs to be a place where you all can eat. But we are looking to do a variety of outdoor activities at other locations on campus. And you know that we've had some space that you could reserve outside in the past, but we've worked this summer to add more outdoor locations as reservable space in our 25 Live space reservation system. The other thing that I shared with student leaders on ProfLink is with our event guidance, like Arielle mentioned, that we really want you to plan virtual events. But just because of the limited space on campus and the safety measures that we want to make sure that we have in place, all of our events are being thoroughly reviewed by a group of people that meet twice a week to make sure that our events are really well planned and safe. So that applies to student events as well. So if you do have the need to have an in-person event, the first step for all types of events is to submit that event on ProfLink. And our virtual events are approved fairly quickly because those are awesome opportunities, again, like Arielle was saying, that all students can participate in. If your event needs to have an in-person component, like I said, we're meeting twice a week to discuss those. And if you're approved to have an in-person event, then we would recommend a space for you, and you would reserve that on 25 Live. As far as our event spaces, we are not at this time booking any activities besides academic classes in our classroom buildings because we want to make sure that we keep those clean for our classes. So our event locations are outdoors and the Chamberlain Student Center primarily, but we'll work with you to plan a successful event one way or the other. The first step is just to submit it on ProfLink.
Great, thank you. So we know that this is an election year. Is a university, are there any organizations that are doing anything for voter registration or making sure that we can exercise our civic responsibilities with voting? Any information on that?
Yeah, that's really a great question. And so something that the university is doing is working on Rowan votes. I put out a video going step by step on how to register to vote. It was just like a personal project of mine, but I'm really grateful that it was shared by our own community. So it was a video how to register and vote in New Jersey. Of course, there's going to be an updated version of this video because in the past week or so, we heard some updates about register to vote because New Jersey was one of the states that you had to fill out a voter registration form. And to my understanding by our governor that they'll be transitioned to a different platform on doing so. And so that video will be updated. And so it's really great that our university is working on the Rowan Votes Task Force to inform, also to help our college students too, because it's really important to do so. And so no matter what party you're part of, being registered to vote is so important, especially if you're eligible to vote. It's such a great thing to do. So it's really great that our university is working towards that. And if Dr. Drew can provide any other updates on that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's great. We have a great group of faculty, staff, and students that are really working on voter registration, as well as voter education. So we have some awesome student interns that are putting together a voter guide that will have nonpartisan information about all of our elections and ballot initiatives in New Jersey for students. And we'll have a variety of events like debate watch parties for students throughout the year. We have some awesome student leaders with SGA and from student organizations around campus that are working on that. So yeah, this is going to be a very exciting semester for all sorts of reasons. And we really appreciate the students' involvement in democracy and doing that important civic duty.
Thank you. And this question is for Dylan. Students were wondering what are the best ways of keeping on track with what SCCA has for students? What platform is the best way to do so? And also, as updates are found through email, social media?
Yeah, so starting with just this Welcome Week event, there is that website. It has been sent in the chat, but we can get it sent again. That is the calendar of not just the SCCA, but every event happening during Welcome Week. Past that, it's probably best to follow each of the departments on ProfLink. All of the events will be posted there, so you can follow Rowan After Hours and the Student University programmers on ProfLink. On top of that, every event will be posted in your Rowan announcer, so make sure to open that. Every student does have access to the Rowan announcer sent to their Rowan email every day. And then, as I said before, our social media is Rowan at Rowan SCCA. So on Instagram and Twitter, we will be posting all updates about our events, whether it happens to be like a rained out event or moved online or moved. That's where you'll find those updates, as also our calendar will be updated on there.
Great. Things don't get rained out in Rowan, do they? So I've heard, again, I'm new to campus. I've not been to Rowan before, and I've heard this thing about Rowan Boulevard and all the things happening down there. Is that connected to the university? Is that part of student activities? What is Rowan Boulevard?
Well, Rowan Boulevard is a great partnership between Rowan University and the Glassboro community. I feel like Dylan and I know the answer to heart because we are a missions ambassador, and that's one of the things that we learn when we give campus tours. And so with Rowan Boulevard, there's students who are living on campus. There's also ways that you can actually see it through our Rowan University YouTube channel. So if you go to our YouTube channel, you can look at different videos that our media team has created showing you the great things that Rowan Boulevard has. And so Rowan Boulevard has great restaurants. My favorite is Las Scalas. I don't like paying for Las Scalas, but anytime my family comes visits me and they're like, hey, are you hungry? I'm like, yes, please take me to Las Scalas and pay for my ricotta board. That's my favorite thing to get as an appetizer. But so we have Cookie Munchers, which is owned by a past Rowan University alumni, and it's really great. And they also have a cookie eating challenge. So if you're about that life, then definitely go ahead. We have an escape room. I did that for the first time last year for my job. It was so much fun. So there's a lot of activities you can do and great places to eat. And so also parents, when there's times that you are going to visit your student for there's like the parents and family week at near the end of September, that's when they usually book their hotel room, because I'm pretty sure you cannot even stay in your student's residence hall. So that's what they usually book for when they were staying overnight. But Rowan Boulevard has a lot of great things to do. Dylan, you want to talk about your favorite restaurant on Rowan Boulevard?
Well, that is such a tough toss-up because I love Cheekies and Pete's. Crab fries are absolutely amazing. The first time I had them, my life was changed. And now they have the sweet potato crab fries. Those are just like revolutionary. Get the basket with both. Or I love pliables. I'm from the shore town, so I have like 6 pliables in my hometown. So going to campus and having part of Tom's River, part of the Jersey Shore it means a lot to me, and I love eating there.
Thanks, Dylan. Also, something I forgot to mention about Rowan Boulevard is that there's students living in the Nexus properties and also in the Rowan Boulevard area. So there's Robo apartments, and there's like the Rowan Boulevard. There's like Robo. We say Robo, Rowan Boulevard. Once you get here, then you understand like the whole lingo. But also there's 10 minutes left, and so I want to make sure there's an opportunity for y'all to leave any last advice, any more information that you can provide. Starting with Dr. Giannini, is there any last advice you would like to leave our attendees, and also any more information about Rowan Athletics?
Part of the thing I loved about that is seeing different campuses, and what we have at Rowan Boulevard is literally second to none. The fact that our students can just walk and go to such a wide variety of places that are open at all hours, and any kind of taste you have in a restaurant, it's right there. It's an amazingly positive thing for our campus to have. Regarding Rowan Athletics, I would just reiterate what I said before. It's fun, it's exciting, and Arielle, I mentioned this to your group. Our student athletes are talented. We had some people drafted in the Major League Baseball draft last year. We have many All-Americans. We have great athletes, but you know what? They're like and treated like everyone else on campus. Division III is non-scholarship, and they're in the same classes. They have the same cost. And when you're supporting a Rowan student athlete, you're more than anything supporting another student. And we try to reciprocate that, as you said, Arielle. Anything that Rowan Athletics can do to support another student or another student group, we're all in, and we're all part of the same family. And if you come here, I think it's a big school, but it's got a family feel, and we just support each other. And we want to do that as an athletic department. And frankly, we hope the students come out and rock and roll the stadiums and the arenas and support our athletes too. And I just think, again, we want this to be a fun, proud, supportive campus, and I think we have that.
Thank you, Dr. Giannini. And just to second that, our Rowan Athletics Department students, they're so kind. They're one of the first people to have their Venmo up to give money for fundraisers, whether it's to pie their faces and things like that. They're always there, one of the first people there to support the Rowan community and also support them. So thank you. Yes, for the question for Dylan, is there any advice that you'd like to give to our attendees or incoming students, and any last information you'd like to provide on the behalf of SSCA?
Yeah, so I think the best advice is really to get involved. I know that it can be really hard to get out of your shell, and I can't even imagine how much harder it is now with physical distance being an obstacle. But definitely just put yourself out there, put your face out there, your name out there, talk to your fellow students. It's definitely the best way to build community. And then when things open up, you'll have a whole group of people that you can say, hey, we did this online together, now let's go in person and do it together. So in the chat, you'll find all of our social medias. Again, that's the best way to stay up to date, as well as the Welcome Week calendar. Just to kind of quick summary of all of our events coming up, we have our 2 outdoor movies on Sunday, August 23rd, and Tuesday, September 1st at 9:15 p.m. We have our 3 food truck festivals on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, August 24th, 5th, and 6th, starting at 6 p.m. until 9 p.m., where students can get free food. And then you can find our first Rowan After Hours weekend Thursday, September 3rd, Friday, September 4th, and Saturday, September 5th, where we have Deck Your Dorm Novelty Night, so you can get all the decorations you need for your dorm, a giant game night, and online bingo. And I know Arielle mentioned Rowan loves bingo, so now you can have the SGA bingo and Rowan After Hours bingo within a week of each other. So definitely, if you're a bingo fan, this is the perfect week for you.
Thanks, Dylan, and we appreciate you and your leadership, and also the hard work that your team has done. Now the question for you, Dr. Drew: is there any last second advice you'd like to provide to our attendees, and any information that we should know?
All right. Thank you all for joining us today. I really look forward to seeing you on campus or at one of our virtual events. That's the most important thing, is to get involved on campus. ProfLink is your gateway for that. That has all of our student organizations and events here on campus. You can find the Welcome Week events that we talked about on ProfLink or the go.rowan.edu/welcome website. Just a few last minute points. I need to put away my owl for a moment. I need to show you something here in my office. So Rowan University, we have a very long tradition of welcoming our new students to campus. So I have a Glassboro State freshman beanie, and we don't make you wear these around campus anymore, but we will still help you out and get you connected. Had to do that plug as the orientation person. We really care for our first year students. You'll see that we're a very welcoming and caring community. We'll have, besides our Welcome Week events, we have Ask Me tents set up the first week of class to help you find your classes and get to know what's going on around here. So again, get involved here on campus. We have a variety of student organizations, if you and our fraternity and sorority community and all of that. So check out ProfLink for those events. I'll have to give a quick shout out and tips for each of the areas I work with quickly. So with Parent Family Connections, we're absolutely glad that our family members have joined us as well. And we like to communicate with parents and family members because you're a valuable part of this experience too. We have an email newsletter that you can sign up for on our parent website, and we look forward to engaging you at our virtual family weekend this fall. With orientation and student leadership, again, we look forward to having you participate in Welcome Week. But then, and for continuing students and our new students, get involved with Leadership Rowan if you haven't already. Check out our fraternities and sororities here on campus with the virtual Greek organization fair. Even if you're not able to join yet as a new student, get to know our groups this semester and see where you might fit. What I usually tell people at our orientation programs is find at least one organization on campus for you to be connected with. Our Student Center and campus activities is a great way to get involved and attend those different activities that Dylan talked about and meet others. With Campus Rec, we have so many opportunities there and throughout the campus for you to thrive. We really want to promote your well-being, whether that is physical, but all of the dimensions of well-being. The Campus Rec are great leaders with that, and I thank them for their work. And with dining services, download Grubhub. That's where you'll place your orders for your food. We opened up today for those students who are here on campus already. So again, thank you all. We look forward to seeing you on campus and then virtually and getting involved this semester.
Thanks, Dr. Drew. And then I'll just put my last second in before our wonderful interim dean of students close for us. But my advice is just to be intentional about your college career. Going to college is a great investment into your future. And so be intentional with things that you do. If you want to get involved into something, definitely do it. And don't limit yourself, because there's so many great opportunities here at Rowan. And so you should be your #1 fan. And there's also people who work here who supports you and wants to see you successful. So please don't limit yourself. And then now I'm going to pass it on to our wonderful interim dean of students, Dr. Kevin Koett.
Thank you, Arielle, and that's great advice. Just remember, college is not a passive process. Lots of really great things happening, and certainly we're going to encourage you. We're going to support you. But as Arielle and others said, just take that risk, be yourself, and put yourself out there. You won't regret it. I want to thank everybody for participating. Our panelists are amazing. Please, when you get to campus, meet these people in person. I know that we're socially distanced, but I will put these folks up against anybody in the country is caring for students and caring about their well-being outside of the classroom and making sure that they have an amazing experience. That's what Rowan's all about. We certainly appreciate you being here this afternoon. If you missed this part of this, or if you have friends who'd like to watch it, it will be on the Rowan University YouTube channel, so please check that out, as are all of our past sessions. We've had a number of really great sessions, so I encourage you to look at that. We've got 2 more sessions. Move-in starts tomorrow, so we're excited to bring students back to campus. And any questions that you have, feel free to reach out to any of these individuals through email on an individual basis. They'll be happy to help you. Thank you all for being here. We appreciate your time and hope that you have a great rest of the night. Thank you all.